Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is your host Maryam Khan. Welcome to another episode of the Info Corridor Talk. Dear audience, despite rapid and surprising Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, rhetoric of Afghanistan becoming a regional connectivity hub have not abated. It is apparent that with the US exit, China and Russia are likely to take a leading role in supporting Taliban regime economically and politically to further their respective connectivity ambitions. Pakistan too can benefit from regional countries' connectivity aspirations. To talk on this topic, we have with us Mr. Sajid Iqbal. Mr. Sajid is pursuing his PhD in international relations from National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad, specializing in state building and conflict resolution in Afghanistan. Presently, he is serving as a lecturer in the Department of IR at Namal, Islamabad. Previously, Sajid served in the Department of International Relations at Muslim University, Islamabad. He remained associated with International Islamic University, Islamabad, as a visiting lecturer in the Department of Politics and International Relations. He is also member of PAK Board of Mentors in PAK Afghan Youth Forum. He has published several research articles on conflict in Afghanistan, and he contributes to the print and electronic media as an analyst. A very warm welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Maryam, for having me.
So, what will be the impact of withholding Afghanistan foreign reserves from Taliban?
Well, I think, Maryam, this is going to be a significant challenge for Taliban to overcome the economic challenges that they're going to face in the coming future. But I think that the freezing of the foreign reserves of Afghanistan in the US would not be for the long term. They have done this, the US has done this out of frustration because of the criticism is coming in from around the world. But in the long term, the US will have to be responsive towards Afghanistan because it is a liability on them. And they have several agreements previous Afghan government in terms of paying the salaries of the government officials as well as the counter-terrorism operation. So I think the United States would be able to you can say release those funds provided Taliban successfully make an inclusive government, and the efforts are going on in this regard because Taliban are reaching out to the internal stakeholders. They are also in talks with Ashraf Ghani, who is in exile in the UAE. So if they successfully manages to make an inclusive government, there is no point that the US would not be releasing funds. It would not only be releasing those $7 billion, rather the US would be further assisting Taliban and other stakeholders in running the government in Afghanistan.
Sir, has the West started economic warfare after facing defeat in military domain in Afghanistan?
As I said earlier, this is going to be for a short term because they are doing this just for the phase 7, that they're putting a pressure on Taliban in terms of their past historical image that is there in the international community. But in the long run, they're not going to be putting any kind of pressure on Taliban in terms of economic warfare, because if they do so, Taliban would not be, you can say, able to fulfill the promises that they have made to the West in the February 2020 agreement that Afghanistan would not be used as a safe haven for international terrorist organization. Because we all know that Al-Qaeda is a very wealthy group. It is run by Arabs who are very wealthy, and they were there to support Taliban throughout this war in Afghanistan. It is on record. So if the US abandoned Taliban in terms of economic assistance, Taliban would have no option but to reach out to Al-Qaeda again. And if they reach out to Al-Qaeda for financial assistance, then there is no guarantee that Afghanistan is not used against the US interest in the future.
Sir, what do you think? Will the Taliban regime be able to face the economic pressure?
I think Taliban regime would be in a better position to face the economic challenges. There is a reason for that. For example, previously, Ashraf Ghani government had no control or had a partial control over Afghanistan, but Taliban are somehow able to govern the entire Afghan territory. So they would be in a better position to collect taxes from around Afghanistan, while Ashraf Ghani government was not able to do so because most of the territory or nearly 60% of Afghanistan's territory was under Taliban control, dealing with the economic challenges. And moreover, if Taliban succeeds in bringing in peace and stability in Afghanistan, then of course we all know about the hidden resources in Afghanistan, and international investors will come in, because international investment comes only when there is peace in the country. Ashraf Ghani government and previously Hamid Karzai's government were not able to maintain peace despite the presence of the international forces. So if Taliban maintains peace in Afghanistan, there will be international investments and there will be a huge tax collection inside Afghanistan as well, as I said, because Taliban would be able to govern the entire territory, not partial territory.
So, sir, can Afghanistan become financially sustainable through trade and resources? And what do you think role can China and Russia play in supporting Taliban regime economically?
Okay, I think China has already signaled that it is going to maintain good relations with Taliban in the future, because previously they invited Afghan Taliban delegation to China. And we all know that there are minerals in Afghanistan worth $1 trillion, which are not explored so far. So China, of course, would be interested in those. And it is also beneficial for Taliban to have business relations with China and Russia rather than economic aid. Because previously, when the US was providing economic assistance to Afghanistan, we all know that there was corruption in government ranks, and this foreign aid was not utilized the way it was supposed to be utilized on the public welfare. So if China and Russia makes, you can say, working relationship with the Afghan regime in the future, then there is no reason why Afghan government would not be sustainable.
Sir, will India's Chabahar project end after Taliban takeover of Afghanistan?
I think the Chabahar project of India, now China is in, India is out. India invested some money in that project, but in 2019 there was some issues with respect to the release of funds between Iran and India. So India is no longer in this project. But even if it is there in some capacity, I think that Afghanistan historically relied on Karachi port for their import and exports. And presently, Gwadar port is more, you can say, in close vicinity to Afghanistan, and they can better rely on Gwadar port for their imports and exports. So Chabahar port, of course, is beneficial for all the regional countries, including Pakistan, and India can benefit from this. You can say matter in terms of the reliance of Afghanistan on India, or the change in regime in Afghanistan, because as I already said, Chabahar port is now in the hands of China, not in India.
Sir, thank you so very much for taking out time for us and joining us.
Welcome.